Radical Innovations. I am back from a brief holiday. How are you doing today? It's great coming back, getting back into the studio after being on the road for a couple of weeks. If you follow on social media over on Instagram or over on Facebook, I've been posting there while I've been on the road. We've picked up our new 45-foot Prevo bus. It has the new mobile studio built into it. This replaces the RV that I've had for the last couple of years, which we took to Las Vegas for a consumer electronics show, stopping and interviewing innovators as we've traveled around North America. So this is a Prevo bus. It's new to us. It's not really new. It was designed for somebody else, but it's definitely a step up. We found that we really like being on the road and meeting people and meeting innovators and seeing what's going on in the non obvious places of where innovation is happening. So, this trip was basically to get us to North Carolina to get the bus and bring it back to Colorado. We had dropped it off there in January, and then when COVID, the bus pretty much got stuck there. We had a bunch of work done on it. Again, you can hop on over to Instagram. Just search for Phil McKinney, all one word, no spaces. You'll find me there. Find me on Facebook or over on LinkedIn. I don't post things about the bus and personal things over on LinkedIn. I keep that as purely professional. But hop on over to follow us on Instagram or follow us on Facebook or Twitter. Again, Phil McKinney, all one word, no spaces. And that's how you can find us pretty much on all of the social media platforms. So, where we stopped the last time in the show was we were finishing up our discussion on fire and the fire framework. And so, and in the last show, we talked about execution. So, fire, focus, ideation, ranking, execution. We were talking about execution. And in that execution phase, I shared with you what I call an innovation lean canvas. And I said in the show that I would go into it in more detail. That is today's show. We're going to go in and I'm going to go through all of the details of how I use an innovation lean canvas to create a one-page plan for a given idea. So before we get started, though, let's take a look at the FIRE framework again. So F is for focus. So that's defining, where the opportunity space is, where the problems are. So we're crafting a statement that can then be led to generating ideas and solutions for. So once we've done the focus effort, we come out of that with a opportunity or problem statement. Then we go into ideation. We ideate. We brainstorm. We do electronic suggestion box. There's a variety of different ways to do it. But now you're just generating solutions and you're grouping them. If you bring a team together, 10 people, you put them in to do brainstorming, then you have everybody share their ideas. You're going to find that there's some grouping, common ideas. Once you've gone all through that activities, now you've got a good list of ideas. They got to find the best ones. So ranking, the R of FIRE is ranking. So ranking those ideas, coming up with a criteria that you can actually use at the end of your ideation activities before everybody disperses and goes back to their normal activities, rank them. And then you have execution. As I've said many times, and you are probably tired of hearing me say this, ideas without execution are a hobby, and we are not in the hobby business. So, focus, ideation, ranking, execution, FIRE. In the execution phase, though, once you've selected your idea, now what do you do with that? How do you take that idea and move it forward? How do you secure management support? How do you get funding for that idea? That is the role of the lean canvas. Now, at the in the execution show, and if you haven't listened to that, go back and find it. You can find the audio for it, or if you prefer, watch it on YouTube. There's the YouTube where I actually use these slides and use the slides for all of the FIRE. And there's 4 shows: focus, ideation, ranking, and execution. So go back, watch those shows. In the execution show, we talk very briefly at the end of the show about the lean canvas. And what is the purpose of the lean canvas? It is basically replaces a typical plan. You can go off and crank a 50-page business plan or in the Apple terms, a 5-page PIP. Um, you can go create those. This puts it all on one page. We actually will print this out on huge poster sized paper and tack it to the wall in a workshop. And we actually fill it in to the best idea, the idea that we're going to promote forward. We fill out this lean canvas. Now, again, it's a replacement for the typical plan, puts everything on the one page. It basically goes over the critical areas. It allows you to look at it all in one glance. Um, I use these lean canvases and keep them updated. They are living documents. They're not static. They're not just you stick them on the wall and snap a picture with your mobile, attach them to an email, send them out, and you're done. Constantly updating them. We constantly keep that fresh. As we learn more, we fill in more. And then I would encourage you to look at customizing your canvas. This is the lean canvas I use. Now, you've heard me many, many times before share with you, take the best ideas from innovation thinkers that you like or follow. You're obviously following me because you're listening to this show. So I'm assuming you're picking up the FIRE methodology. You're going to pick up this lean canvas. We've shared with you my ranking process. I'm hoping that you are taking FIRE and creating your own version and that you've creating your own criteria for the ranking. The same applies to lean canvas. Do not think that you can take somebody else's framework and approach and just drop it into your organization and make it work. Be willing to adapt. Don't be afraid to try something different, right? In this case, this lean canvas I'm going to share with you is the one I use. Okay, so let's walk through this lean canvas so you get a little bit of a feel for it. So again, we print this out on big poster shaped papers, but it breaks down into a couple areas and it starts kind of left to right, top to bottom. So we talk about the problem. That's the problem statement. Solution. What's the idea that you're going to go forward with? What's the unique value proposition? Why is this something different than what everybody else has? How do you have an unfair advantage? Who are the customers? What customers, who are you trying to help with? The key metrics. How are you going to define success? What does success look like if you go forward with this idea? Key activities. What are the steps and activities you're going to go through? Resource partners. You may not be able to go it alone. Funding requirements and costs. That becomes a key criteria because you're going to need resources, whether that's people, time, money. And then what are the revenue streams? How are you going to make money off of this idea? As you can see with this framework, you get a really good snapshot view of that problem, the solution you've come up with, and how does it all work. It also will flag where you have some ambiguity, where you're not quite sure. And then you've got to go in and says, that's an area that we got to go focus on. And you can do it, or you can assign it to a team. You can say, okay, team A is going to work on X, team B is going to work on Y. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to go through each of these boxes, and I'm going to share with you kind of my experiences and how I think about them, and give you some thoughts about how to leverage this lean canvas. So let's get started. Right out of the gate, problem. That's easy. It's the problem statement. Now, I do this in the workshop, so I'm going to have post-it notes all over the place. Now, I've got a post-it note with the problem statement. I take that post-it note, I walk to the lean canvas, and I put it right on the lean canvas, right on this big poster sheet that I print out, and I'll drop that problem statement right on it. Now, there may be variations of the problem statement. I would keep those all together and I would put them all up there. So you're going to maybe have multiple statements behind it. There may be variations of the wording. Again, you're transferring all the other work you've done now down to one document so that you capture it all, right? But again, we start with the problem statement, the most important area. So let's pick up where we left off. And where we left off was talking about the lean canvas, and we were talking just prior to the commercial break on the problem statement. So let's pick up off the problem statement and go to now talk about the solution. Solution that we want to fill in on the lean canvas is your idea, the wow idea, the idea that got the highest score or the one you have chosen that you are going to go forward with. So again, take that post-it note off over from your ranking activities in Fire and drop that right onto that lean canvas. Now, you may have added some notes to the bottom of it, or you may take a post-it note and fill out some more information, maybe to be broader in the definition of the solution. That's fine. You can go ahead and throw those up there. But again, this is around the idea, the wow idea that you come up with, that you've ideated on it, and now you've ranked. This is the thing that you're going to focus on. And why do we do both the problem and the solution on a lean canvas? It's always good to remember the problem you're trying to solve. What's the problem statement that you went off and ideated ideas around? And having those two there on the lean canvas keeps that in front and center. It reminds you of the problem and that solution that you've come up with. So next is who are the customers? What are their personas? Now, we haven't talked a lot about that in the most recent Fire Framework series of shows, but it has been covered in the past. Pretty much everything has been covered previously. We've been doing this for then we're in year 16 for the show, so we've been doing this for quite some time. So go over to killinnovations.com and search for there's all been a whole series of shows around customers, customer segments, and etc. So in this case, who's the customer? Making sure that you're crystal clear, crisp on who is the customer, who's the customer that has the problem, and that they're going to benefit from your solution. So be clear on who that customer is. You may not know completely what that is or who that is, but it is something that you may have to go investigate. That may be part of the first phase of your execution activities is go validate that customer segment. But you gotta start someplace. So identify who is the customer, who is going to get the benefit for the idea, this wow idea that you have come up with. Next is what is the unique value proposition? Why is the customer going to find value from this? Why is it unique to something that's already out there? Why is it better than the alternative? If the customers have the problem, the customers had to get the solution somehow. Now, in some cases, the customer may not even think it's a problem. They don't even know what's possible, right? But if they've done a workaround, they've just found a way to do it without thinking about it, and they have this workaround. What is the unique value proposition of your solution to the problem for this customer segment? Why is your idea better? What is it about your idea that is creating that's good that the customers are gonna storm to? They're gonna want to go get this thing that you have created. Now, as you can see, these first four areas in the lean canvas are tightly linked: the problem, the solution, the customer, and why is your idea so much better, right? These are kind of some of the foundational elements of execution for any given innovation. You have to be able to answer these four questions, these four areas. Okay. So now that you've got that, you need to define some key metrics. What's the criteria for success? Why Why, what constitutes that you're making progress? What is the goal line? Is it to, you know, uh, win so much market share? Is it to um, uh, ship it or find a licensing partner for it? What's the key metric? You've got a problem, got a solution. You've identified the customer segments. You've identified, why your idea is so much better. What's the metric? What is the metrics for this iteration, for this activity? Now, in some cases, what you may say in this key metric area is look, phase one, I'm going to do this thing. Well, what you're defining in this lean canvas is what's the metrics for that phase one, for that iteration. So phase one may be, market validation. I think this is a problem. I think I've got a pretty neat idea. Go validate it. That would be the metric. Go off and ask these 5 questions, bring those answers back. That may be your key metric. Go off and talk to 25 customers and ask them these 5 questions and bring those answers back. That's a metric. Now, that metric also gets tied to key activities. The metric being is you want those, 10, 15, 25 customers you go talk to all say, "Oh my gosh, this thing's great. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread." Key activities is how you go do that. Go find 25 customers, qualify them, prepare the survey, send out the survey, get those answers back, analyze those, right? The metrics and the activities are tied to the specific iteration, the specific phase, the specific part of where you're at. It's not the end result, it's what's the next thing you need to do to move this program or an innovation project forward. So again, problem statement, your solution, the customers you're going to go serve. Why is your idea so much better? What's the metric that constitutes success for this phase of your activity? And then what are the steps? What are the activities? What's the thing you are going to do for this iteration to prove that your idea is still a great thing? It's still going to be this game changing, world changing idea that's going to transform people's lives. So, with that, let's pick up and move on to the next part of the lean canvas, and that is talking about what is your unfair advantage? Why is your idea so much better from the standpoint of, and how do you protect that? How do you create a barrier to entry for your idea? Now, I will tell you that, many people will try to say, oh, I already know that unfair advantage when I was in the ideation phase. Well, okay. But I would challenge you when you are working through this lean canvas to spend a little bit of time thinking about how would you plus or improve the idea in order to create a higher barrier to entry, make your advantage sustainable. Keep in mind that once you launch, everybody else will see your idea, and if you don't have a barrier to entry, then you will have literally hundreds potentially of copycats, and the copycat problem is been greatly um, sped up with the ability of people to get low cost manufacturing. There's all kinds of physical, goods that have been invented, but then all of a sudden within 3 months, there's all kinds of 25 copycat products up on Amazon being manufactured offshore. Um, so when I talk about in this case unfair advantage is sit back and think, is there a way for your idea to have an unfair advantage with a high bar to make it sustainable and that becomes defensive, meaning that the ability to copycat would be incredibly hard. Now, here I'm talking about in some cases it can be intellectual properties filing for patents. But look, patents are incredibly expensive. They're going to cost you on average about $35,000 per patent. That includes all of the upfront legal work, all responding to the patent office actions, um, getting your lawyers involved to argue with the patent office if they would disallow certain claims, etc. It's time consuming. Now, IP is probably the easiest way to get your head around, but there's other ways for you to create barriers to entry, trade secrets, things that you don't reveal. Coca-Cola's formula for making Coke is a trade secret, right? So unless you know exactly what that mixture of the Coke formula is, kind of hard for you to duplicate it. There are other ways to create this unfair advantage. So think about it. Don't just assume what comes in your head right at the beginning is that advantage. Take a little bit of time. Maybe have a session with some people to think about plussing the idea. And as we've shared in the past, and I've shared with you many times, when I say plussing an idea, it's about how do you make an idea 10% better, 2 times better, 10 times better? How do you plus it? So it's an idea plus. Make that idea even better. So think about your unfair advantage. Next is the resources and partners. What kind of resources do you need? What kind of people? What kind of expertise do you not have? Uh, who are some potential partners? You need access to certain things that you can get from a partner, or maybe the partner is the sole source for that element, right? So it could be technologies, it could be expertise, it could be access to a sales channel, the ability to reach a customer. It could be regulatory. Um, but think through what are the resources and partners? What are those elements that you need to come around your idea? Because you're gonna have to go pitch them. You have to go tell them why they should hook their wagon to you, why they should get excited and throw their hat in the ring with your idea. So you need to be crystal clear. Who are the resources you need? And that could be, I need that person or I need that expertise because I don't have it. I'm a software engineer, not a marketing person. I need a marketing person. Or, I am a salesperson with a good idea, but I don't know how to code. I need to get a software engineer. Same thing with partners. Who are the partners I need to bring together around in any given idea? So identify those potential partners, those resources, and then start thinking through how are you going to pitch them. Now, the lean canvas, we'll talk about it here in a little bit, about once you have the lean canvas filled out, this could be the sit down document you talk with both resources and your partners. Next up is funding requirements and costs. Now, what I find absolutely hilarious, when I get pitched ideas, is everybody puts the funding thing up front, right? I got this problem, I got this really great idea, and I need $1 million, right? Versus, have you really thought about your idea? Have you really thought about what's it going to take? Have you really thought about why yours is different and who the customers are, etc.? That's why we don't talk about the funding requirements until you have completed the previous part of the lean canvas. Define the problem, the solution, who the customer is, what's the unique value proposition, the metrics and activities. What are those phases and steps you're going to take to execute this idea? The unfair advantage. How are you going to create a barrier to entry so that when you do come out with this great idea, you are going to have a unique position, something that's defensible, right? And what resources? Do you even have the likelihood of attracting the right skill set or the right individuals or the right people to even execute this? Then talk about the funding. Once you validated these other parts of the lean canvas, then think about what is that funding? What's the cost? What's it going to take for you to do this? If you're inside of an organization, what's the budget you would need from your CFO to take this idea forward? If you're going to do a startup, what's the funding pitch? Right? And that might be synchronized with both the key activities, if you've defined your phases, and your metrics. If I'm successful, then I expect I'll need another $500,000 or I'll need 3 more people on the project. Okay? But we don't do that until we've got the early part of the lean canvas and we've really sat down and thought deep and hard about it. And then filling out the last piece of the lean canvas is what's the revenue stream? If I've got this really great idea and I got the funding and I was able to get the partners, what do I think the revenue stream is going to look like? Now, this we're not looking for a spreadsheet that shows the dollars. It's more about what are the sources of that economic value. Now, that economic value may not always be in revenue. That economic value could be in time savings. We got this really great idea. We're going to go off and create this little mobile app, and it's going to allow our employees to be 10% more productive. So the economic value is not in revenue; it's in time savings, higher productivity. Or we've got this approach that actually can allow us to reduce our costs. That's economic value. So what's the revenue? When we say revenue stream, what we're really saying is what is the sources of economic value that your idea will create given this problem or given this opportunity that you've delivered. So we now have the lean canvas potentially filled out. The key being is this is a living document. So things are going to change. They're going to add things, take things off. You're going to become more knowledgeable. But once you've got this document all pulled together, now you can sit back and now you can see all on one page. And again, when I do a workshop or I'm coaching a CEO or coaching a chief innovation officer, I print this out on big poster paper, tack it to the wall, and we fill it in as we go, give it an idea, then we sit back, we just kind of look at it and think, okay, what am I really confident in? Where do I need to spend more time to build up that confidence? In the lean canvas, we just walked through all of the elements of the lean canvas. So we talked about problem, solution, customers, unique value proposition, key metrics, key activities. Think through your unfair advantage. So, how do you create a barrier to entry? The resource partners, the funding requirements and costs, and any of the revenue streams as they currently occur. Now, this lean canvas is one that I actually use. It's one that I teach in all of my different workshops. And the way we do this is once a team fills it out, they've got all their information. Then we actually have them stand up and pitch. Now we have them pitch from the lean canvas, right? So they'll literally stand up. They've got their big poster lean canvas sitting, tacked onto a wall. They will go over to that wall, one person from a team, and they'll actually walk through their idea. Now, I really like this approach because it makes sure that it covers all the areas. If I just say, come give me a pitch, you may come in and only focus on the problem and the solution, maybe a little bit of the customers, and what your and maybe a little bit of a spreadsheet on with the 3-year projection of revenue and what your funding requirements are. But maybe you don't cover value proposition or you don't really think about unfair advantage, right? The lean canvas makes sure that you cover all of the key, critical, must have areas if you are going to have a successful innovation. So the lean canvas for me is really this tool that not only if I'm thinking about an idea, I use it, but if people are going to pitch an idea to me, I have them fill out the lean canvas. Fill out the lean canvas first, then come talk to me. I want people to have thought through the issues. Now, it's fine to come in and say, you know something, I'm not quite sure what the revenue stream is going to look like. I don't know if it's going to be a B2B, a B2B to C, a business to consumer. What is it? And that's fine. Say you don't know, and then that's part of the discussion. Well, what do you think? Well, I don't know. It could be a B2B, but actually I think A B2B to C, find a partner who's got the sales channel that you don't have and let them sell directly to your customer. So it's a wholesale retail model. Oh, interesting. Okay. Those are part of the discussions. If you don't know, don't fake it. Be transparent. But the point here is the lean canvas gives you a structure to make sure you think about and you cover all of the areas. And again, in a workshop, we just have the people stand right next to the lean canvas and pitch from it. If you're going to go into a boss, if you're an innovation leader within your organization and you're going to go for internal dollars, take the lean canvas in, walk them through the lean canvas, through it, and let them, participate in the conversation. It shows that you've thought through all of the key areas that they're thinking about in the back of their head, but they just didn't tell you, what information they were looking for to make a decision. The lean canvas gives you that framework. And I have found this to be hugely valuable. But again, you can take this lean canvas as is and use it. Go ahead, knock yourself out, but also don't be afraid to adapt it. Adapt it to you and what your needs are, such that that it matches your organization or the kinds of activities and projects. Now, in this lean canvas, and along with everything we've talked about, the focus, ideation, ranking, and execution, is all something that we teach in the Disruptive Ideation Workshop. So the Innovators Network is an LLC corporation that basically is a collection of innovation leaders who are in their leadership roles today or who have recently retired. So these are former chief innovation officers, chief technology officers from leading organizations, real innovation thought leaders. And these innovation leaders come in and will show you, your team, your organization, how to use the FIRE framework, how to get better ideas, more ideas from within your team. And we actually use the innovation lean canvas inside the Disruptive Ideation Workshop. The Ideation Workshop, this particular workshop, is a 1-day version of the boot camp. So in 1 day, we teach the very high level version of what is FIRE, focus, ideation, ranking, execution. Now, given the length of time, we only focus really on ideation and ranking, and then the lean canvas portion of execution. So when you come out of this with your problem statement, you come up with a big long list of your ideas, you've ranked them, and you've done a lean canvas on one of your ideas. So when you walk out of a Disruptive Ideation Workshop, you walk out with a filled in lean canvas on your best idea for you to take to your management team and pitch. So that's the objective. So if you want more information, hop on over to disruptiveideation.com. That would be a good place to start. You can click a button and fill in your information if you want someone to follow up with you to give you more information about the workshops. We do those virtual and live. And with that, I'm going to wrap up today's show. Drop me a note, phil@killinnovations.com. If you want to connect, just text the word innovation to 44222. Again, innovation to 44222, or send an email to innovation@killerinnovations.com if you happen to be outside the US. The texting only works in the US. And with that, we're going to close down this week's show. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.